If you keep dying as a support and you're any rank below Celestial, this video is for you. It's not your team's fault and it's not bad luck. It's your positioning. You can have the best heals and the best uses of your cooldowns and still be useless if you're standing in the wrong spot. Because in Marvel Rivals, support isn't just about healing. It's about surviving and enabling your team so you can help control the flow of the fight. And all of that starts with your positioning. So today, I'm going to be breaking down where you should be standing and, just as important, where you shouldn't. By the way, if you're healing and you keep getting dived every fight and saying, I can't do anything, you're already making one of the biggest mistakes we'll cover today. So sit back, relax, and let's get into how you can actually stop being a free kill and start getting free wins. Most players make the mistake of thinking that playing far back is safe, but in this game, distance doesn't protect you. It isolates you. You're pretty much making it easy for the enemy team and kind of doing a part of their job and isolating yourself so they don't have to. Plus, the further you are from the fight, the harder it is to influence it. You're missing your timing windows, your healing takes longer to land, and you become completely useless the second someone flanks. Instead of trying to play safe in the backline, you need to be close enough to contribute, but always next to cover and always next to your teammate that can kind of peel for you. Think about it this way, if you're Cloak and Dagger and you turn into Cloak and start cloaking away, is it better for you to cloak away while you're already further away from your teammate? Or cloak either into your teammate, or if you're with your team, cloak them out of maybe an ult? If you're far, then you won't be able to cloak them out and you'll have cloak while your teammates are dying through Iron Man's ult, or maybe it's Groot's ult. Regardless, in this scenario, cloak's ability is way more useful when you're closer to your team. Think of it like this. Can you break line of sight instantly if you get jumped? If the answer is no, you're in danger. No matter how far back you are, it's not hard for Black Panther or even Venom to swing past or dash past everyone to get to you. So distance doesn't always mean safety, and actually most times it actually means you're putting yourself in more danger. So learn to play with your team a little bit more rather than being away from everyone. Now, you don't need to be glued to your tank or DPS's hip. But if you're not near your teammates, you should always be near somewhere to cut your LOS with the enemy. So a doorway, a corner, or even the payload. These are your lifelines when the pressure hits, because trust me, that pressure is coming. It's known in this game that the target priority is always supports at the top, so you're always gonna be targeted first. If your tank is in front of you but you're not in their LOS, you're already mispositioned. Sometimes. I will admit, a lot of tanks don't know how to play the role properly and have zero awareness of where their supports are, so they end up walking out of the LOS of their supports, which I know it's not your fault, but there's nothing you can do about it other than try to reposition yourself to be able to see them. That being said, there are going to be times where there's no level of repositioning to heal a doo-doo fart tank. But regardless, your tank is your anchor. Their position tells you where the fight is really happening, and your position should always orbit around theirs. You drift too far, you get dove. If you're too close, you get brawled to death. The sweet spot is just outside the danger zone, but close enough for your team to be able to peel for you. Stop disconnecting yourself from the team so much. You're not just a healer floating in the back. There's a reason why in Marvel Rivals, strategists aren't called healers. They're called strategists for a reason. They offer more than just heals. The way you use your abilities can make or break the fight, and it plays hand in hand with your positioning. Now, I want to clear something up. I've been saying positioning is everything, and it pretty much is, but I see so many people risking their lives to get to the best spot, a spot they see on YouTube, or maybe a crazy lineup they know. While I don't doubt that it's a great spot, you shouldn't be risking your life to get there. I see so many raccoons that try to dash to places that are almost in the enemy backline just because they've seen it on TikTok or YouTube. But 9 times out of 10, you would have been better off playing at a slightly worse spot because you're more likely to live longer. And if you're more likely to live longer, your team is also likely to live longer, which means you're likely to win the fight. At higher levels, you'll begin to realize that positioning isn't about camping a good spot. It's about adapting. Fights in Marvel Rivals are chaotic. They rotate, they dive, they reset, and if you're too focused on staying up at your best spot, you're gonna miss the flow of the fight entirely. Now, I'm not saying don't use these spots. Use them, but also try to consciously realize when it's hurting your team more than helping them. And when it's hurting them, learn to reposition to a better spot. Now, this rule applies to every role. If you're dying late every fight trying to save a lost cause, you're throwing. This is one of the most common mistakes in lower ranks. The enemy wins the fight, your whole team goes down, and you're still there burning cooldowns and sometimes even using your ultimate. Seriously, please stop using your Luna ult when you're the only one on the payload. It's not helping anyone. You're better off saving it for the next fight with your team, using it to enable your team and helping them win the fight. What you should be doing is disengage. Get out and preserve your life, because the faster you live, the faster your team respawns and the sooner you can recontest as a team. And if you can't get out because they have a Spider-Man and a BP with better mobility than you, contrary to what you may think, you're better off dying quick. Jump off the map, let them kill you, do whatever you need to do so you can respawn faster with your team. The faster you respawn or the faster you get to your team, the faster you can recontest as 6. This is a team game. It's not like Valorant where you can 1v5. This requires a full team of 6. As soon as one person gets picked, the game gets way harder. You're not throwing by escaping or dying quickly. You're throwing by staggering. Now, support positioning is just one side of a 3-sided coin. Last video, I talked about the positioning of a tank, and next video, I'm going to be talking about how to take position as a DPS, how to take aggressive space and draw aggro without inting, or stop dying first in every fight. But for now, let's finish the support playbook. Now I'm talking to especially those DPS support duos. If you don't do this, you can skip this. I'll leave a timestamp below so it doesn't waste your time. Now you duos, if you're tunneling on one teammate, especially a DPS, you're missing the whole fight. Good support players position to everything. The front line, the flank, the high ground, the dive, all of it. That means you have to stop gluing yourself to your duo like you're their personal pocket. It might feel helpful, but it's often the reason why you're losing. When you're a hard pocket on one person, you lose the ability to rotate heals, track dives, and react to split pressure. You're not just a follower, you're a hub. Think of your team like a solar system. You're not the sun stuck at the center, and you're not the moon just stuck to one planet to orbit. You're more like a satellite, constantly adjusting your path to stay connected to everything that matters. Your job is to rotate between angles, manage the battlefield, and keep the whole system running smoothly. Great positioning means you can quickly swap angles and don't always have to call your teammates to peel whenever you need help. This is where average support players get stuck. They only move after something happens. By then, it's too late. The difference between you and a celestial level support player is that great support players are constantly scanning and pre-positioning. They know when a dive is coming before it's there. This is because, again, they're mindful of the fact that as a support, you're always going to be targeted first. As sad as it is, it's a fact, so you need to be able to work around that and think about it. Not just play mindlessly. Think about these things and think about how the enemies are going to position based off of where you're playing. And as a result, try to find a better place to position where it may be harder for them to dive you. This isn't about having a sixth sense, it's about recognizing patterns. If you see red in the kill feed and your teammates died, try to see who killed them. Based off of that, you know who is in that general area and you can reposition accordingly. Another example is if a flanker goes missing. If their Iron Fist hasn't shown his face in a while and you haven't seen him, chances are he's behind you or he's about to be. So start positioning somewhere where it's harder for him to dive, or somewhere near your teammate so he's a little more hesitant on the dive. Or maybe an ult hasn't been popped in a while, so you know that they're holding onto ults and they're about to attack with a big ult bomb, so save your ult. Or if you don't have your ult, work with what you got. Again, if you're Cloak and Dagger, you can use your cloak ability to save your team. Or if you're Luna, you could try to freeze them out of their ult. There are so many ways to counter other ultimates or help your team by ways other than healing. You need to be aware of them and you need to make sure you're maximizing everything you can do for your team at all times. When you think like this, you're no longer reacting and you're anticipating. And that is the difference between a support who survives and one who dies with cooldowns up. In other words, a low-level support and a high-level support. Support players who survive longer win more fights, and the ones who position smart, they just carry games entirely. You don't need cracked aim, especially as a support, but you need awareness, you need movement, you need discipline. You need to be able to anticipate the enemy's moves and position yourself accordingly to make sure you're maximizing your team's survivability. Anyways, like I said before, I made a tank video like this just last week, so click here if you want to watch that. And I'm working on a positioning guide for DPS next. Anyways, thanks for watching. See ya.